So today I'm sat inside the Helix, just getting ready to put this temporary loop on the bottom, and I guess I've come across one of those typical schoolboy errors. So I've been going around and using this level, checking all the time that I'm within 1.6 and 1.7, thinking, oh, that's well below a 2% incline. Not realising throughout the mode I had it on, if you can see there is 1.65 degrees, and you actually switch the mode to get a percentage incline. You can see the difference, it's nearer 3. And I know I tested it with that diesel, but there's no way the steamers are going to get up that. So I'm now going to have to go around and adjust it painstakingly to get that percentage down. I'm so pleased I didn't go ahead and start building the fiddle yard off here, because obviously there's going to be quite a bit of adjustment. I think when I look up, the way it's going to have to rise up, particularly this one here, this beam's going to be in the way now. So I'm going to have to cut that out. Now luckily there's a thread there going right up, and there's one just on the other side. So that will support the board above. So it doesn't matter, I'm not going to lose any structure. Just going to be a bit of a pain trying to cut this out when I've got my bus wires going through. So this is probably going to take up a bit of time. Probably could have been avoided if I'd just checked the readout on the laser, on the level sooner, but not to worry. So I don't know if it's just a bit clearer here. There's the magical number that I thought I was working to, 1.6 degrees. But when you change the mode over, it's 2.8%. Well, I've spent probably the best part of a day just readjusting all this Helix. It's not a difficult task. The problem is just the access crawling in underneath this. It gets harder, and I'm cramped down the side now, but I've got it's set right on the percentage, so it's under 2%. Couldn't get it down to the 1.6. I was really struggling. It hasn't caused too much of an issue. This is where it originally was going to exit, so I've lost, what's that, probably 30 mil. These rods aren't long enough now, so I'm just going to have to swap those out and just put some longer ones in. But hopefully now it's a much more realistic incline. Right, with the Helix on a natural hold right now as I wait for some track to get the loop in place, it's time to get back to doing a bit of scenery work. Bit more fun. I have to say the Helix was a bit of an engineering challenge for somebody as limited as me, but it's nice to get back to doing a bit of scenery. And the bit I'm going to work on, I just want to get this bit done now. So I'm probably going to use the same method. I've cut a piece of insulation board to the right length. What I'll do on the inside, I'll use a marker pen just to trace the rough shape, cut it out, get that in place, and I'm going to use the chicken wire again to build it up. Right, that's the rough shape, so I'll get that, get the foil peeled off, get it glued into place. I'll probably just have to scrape back some of this just to get a good key, and then it'll be a case of getting the chicken wire pushed into there, stapled into there, and then do the usual with the paper mache and plaster cloth if I've got some left. Right, the glue's dried on this, it's fairly sturdy. I've just put a support piece on the inside, just cut a little piece of ply to size, that'll just fit on the end there, and that'll just hold that in place, give it a bit of strength, and then I'll now can just start to do the final shaping and get the chicken wire in place. Just starting to form the basic shape with the chicken wire. Just using the heavy duty stapler. Obviously this gets all covered anyway. But what I will do, which I did over there, is just on these bits and the sharp edges, I just get the glue gun out and just smear a bit. Just it holds this top edge in place and it just stops any sharp edges on the bottom there. So then I'll trim any excess off. Now I've got loads and loads of Amazon packaging and newspapers for the paper mache. So I'm going to do a few coats like I have here. I haven't got any plaster bandage left yet, so I don't know if you can see, it's probably not quite strong enough, just the paper mache by itself. See, that's where I've put the bandage on, so I may bob out and see if I can get hold of some. But I'll get the rest of the chicken wire done first and see how it looks. So roughly bent into shape. I'm just trimming it now. Because it goes like that, that gives me a chance to fill all this, just to cover up any sharp edges and try and blend it in as best I can to this. It will involve scraping a bit of this back, but I'm hoping there's enough of a dip to be able to cover any joins, or at least so it's not as noticeable. Right, so that's the first bit of paper macheing done. It's just the brown Amazon packaging paper that I've ripped up and used. Probably about 4 layers I've got on there. I think we've all at some point attempted in our lives doing paper mache. I think I remember doing it as a young one with flour and water. But what I've used is this out of date PVA. It's good job I ain't got smell-o-vision because it absolutely reeks of stale milk, really, sour milk. But rather than wasting it, you can probably see all the mould, how it's gone black. I've just mixed it up with a bit of water and used it just to get this done. So I've got to wait for this to dry now. Impatient. It's probably not the best time of year to do something like this, and I want to get on, but I'm probably just going to have to give it a couple of days to dry before I can get the plaster cloth on there. So I've just been playing around with the CVs on this Black 5. Watched a couple of videos where they've done that, and also somebody mentioned in the comments you can do it. I still don't think I've got it right, but I am starting to see a bit more steam than before, so I'll continue to play around with that. Thank you to everybody who asked around any potential progress with the turntable issues, and I hadn't made any progress. As you can probably see from the error there, the answer was no. I purposely just forgot all about it over Christmas and thought I'll worry about it in the new year. I have been doing a little bit of research. You can see the options briefly pop up, but then it shoots straight back to error 1. So when I've been doing a bit of research, Helix actually use Gauge Master in the UK. I can't get much information from there. I also know it's sold in the US under Walthers, so I searched on that, and there's quite a few threads and forums around this error. So I've done everything, all the troubleshooting. I've tried a separate power supply just to make sure, but it turns out pretty much the consensus is that the control unit is toast. So you can get a replacement PCB board to go in here. It's about £50. But there is also in the turntable bridge itself, there's another PCB board in there. So I don't know which board it might be. And the other one is £45. So I could spend £50 and try replacing this one, which most of the forums and threads suggest it could be. If that doesn't work, I could try the other one at £45. Well, that's then like near enough £100 spent, and it may not fix it. And now the cheapest I can find a brand new whole turntable unit is £225. So it's a bit of a dilemma, really. Do I risk trying the PCB boards one by one? And if they don't work, that's £100 down the drain. when I could have put that towards a new turntable. Hence, that's why I've not really got any further with it at the moment. Right, this might look very crude, but it is just temporary. So I've just built a frame with loads of different offcuts of the loft boards that I've got. So that is all level round. Then what I'm going to do is use these pieces of the insulation board to get into the right level now, to join onto the incline. And what I like about this, before I had a layout, because I had these sheets left, I used to lay my track on it and then just push the Hornby track pins through the pre-made holes, and it held it in place quite nicely. So I'm going to do the same with this. As I say, it is only a temporary structure just to allow me to use the Helix. So I'm going to try and get these sheets threaded in now, levelled, and work it from there. But I haven't at this stage got any set track left, radius 3 or 4. So I'm in a dilemma whether to buy some of that or use the flexi track. Most of the layout's flexi track, but something with quite a tight curve, which I need to be as smooth as possible. I'm just leaning towards buying some more set track because it's ready curved and obviously it's not under any tension at all. So I think it might be better to purchase some of that rather than try and get a nice smooth bend with the flexible track. So in terms of the temporary loop I'm going to put on so I can use the Helix, I've got a full oval circle, even 8 pieces of 3rd radius, which should just fit nicely underneath that section I've made. And then I've got to think about the auto reverser. So I've bought one a while back because I'd seen a couple of channels where they'd used it, one of these from Block Signalling. So I've watched the YouTube videos. They look pretty simple to install. One thing I've had to just think about though is just about every piece of track has got a dropper wire and wire to the bus wire. So I've got to make sure where I put this piece, this auto reverser, there's no track within it that's fastened to the main bus because it'll throw it, because it all needs to go through this little auto reversing unit, as far as I understand anyway. So I'm going to see if I can get this wired in, get the loop in place and run a train up and down it. Well, bit of progress. I do now have a loop installed to allow full run of the Helix. The locos to come down on the inside line and they'll go back up on the outer. How temporary it will be, I'm not sure just yet. I would like to get on with this fiddle yard so I can remove all the coaches from up there. But I just want to make sure I maximise the space while still making it accessible. One thing I have realised doing the loop is where the 90 degrees comes round to come this way, it's right back over there. So there's probably an extra 3 foot I'd not accounted for. So as I say, it's just going to take a bit of planning really to work it out. Well, as I thought, this is going to take a bit of drying. I think it dropped down to -2 last night. So you can see it's quite a way off yet from being able to do the next step. So I think I'm going to spend a bit of time trying to get this auto reverser wired in and the rest of the Helix wired so I can test it all out. So we do have a working Helix with a loop at the end which will allow the engine to run back up. I've still got the auto reverser module to install. The wires are there ready, so I'll do that next. It seems to be quite smooth running. So the temporary loop is in place. There's no dropper wires on that, and then it comes back up. So the isolated section is from there up to just before the point. So once the engine does hit this part, it will stop because it's not got the module wired in yet. And there it stopped. And I have now got the auto reversing module wired in. Still loose, not fitted in place, but I wanted to test it first. So it does mean that locos now can run up there, no issues. It has switched automatically, so the train will run. So that gives me a bit more playability now. I am going to have to come back to the wiring though on this Helix. I think like a lot of people, I use red and black wires for the droppers, and it's always black to the back. So like when you've got two main lines, the back, this one and this are black. So I've done the same kind of process on the Helix, black to the back. So each one of these has got the black, and then the inside there I've got the red. Now obviously that's all right for that one going down, but this one coming back up the other way, that's actually the back. So I've got to look at rewiring it, because there's quite a few droppers all wired into these blocks. It was shorting out, so for now I've just taken these off and isolated them. But it does mean the whole Helix and the loop at the bottom is just being powered through the fish plates, having a good connection. So I do need to look at that. But yeah, didn't think of that. Just got carried away thinking two main lines, black to the back. But clearly not on a Helix. So in terms of the next few days, hopefully this will dry out so I can get the plaster cloth on, but then that'll probably take even longer to dry. So hopefully the cold snap will go and we'll get a bit more milder weather. But I'm going to try and continue to work on this area, and then maybe do a bit of planning for the fiddle yard. I think I might take some measurements and get the old any rail out, just to have a little play around to see what I can fit in comfortably. And obviously make some time to play with the trains.